Next up is Quadropolis. I think this came out at Origins or before Origins. It definitely was not a Gen Con release. Give us the scoop.
Yeah, it's designed by François Gandon. The artist was Sabrina Miramon, and it's published by Days of Wonder.
Cool. So Quadropolis is a city building tile game where you have each person has an individual board in front of them. It's a grid. I'm pretty sure it was like 5x5 grid.
Sounds right.
Something like that. And in the middle of the table, you've got another grid that's like 5x5 or something. And you flip out all the tiles and you fill all the spots and you flip them over, and then you've revealed all the stuff available for that round. During that round, you've got builders. Each builder is essentially a chit, and it's in the shape of an arrow, kinda. And so, in order to build something, you place it around that board in the middle on any of the four edges, and it points inward. And whatever number your builder is, you got a 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a 5. So if you put a 3 down, you're buying the tile that's 3 spaces ahead of where in that row or column that you place the bid marker.
Right.
Once that happens, you put it in your city. There's scoring for different things like harbors and buildings and yada yada.
And it has to go in that row too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So if you build it with a builder of a 3, you buy that third tile, but then you have to put it in the row anywhere in row 3 or anywhere in column 3 of your personal board. On top of that, some of the housing complexes, you can also put it third in the stack because they can stack up like towers and stuff.
Right.
Anyway, each player keeps going until everything's purchased in the middle. Obviously, you can't take the row or column. Somebody's already put a tile in. Well, I guess you could. 2 people can because you can put it on the opposite side. Mm-hmm. But whenever somebody buys something, this little token goes in its spot. It kind of limits spaces that the next person could go in.
The Urbanist.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Urbanist. Man, I don't even remember any of this. I never read the rule book, so I didn't know the terminology for all the pieces and stuff. Anyway, once everybody's bought all the tiles they can by placing all their guys, you move on to the next round. You play it 4 times. Eventually, your city's going to have most of the spots filled, and then you do scoring based on the different layouts and such, and whoever has the most points is a winner. There's also an expert variant, which we're not going to go into because we have not played. Mm-hmm. But I thought this game was great the first time I played it. The second time I thought it was still great, but I'm concerned of it being a little samey. I feel like you almost need to play with people who are paying attention to the other players and how they play.
That's one of my points. I mean, it has it could be in your face if you want to pay attention. But
if you don't, you let somebody just run over you.
And it's just a solitaire game at that point too. So
True.
it's up to you. I think I was a little tired. It was probably too heady for me to pay attention to what you guys were doing. So I was just kind of playing my own board.
Yeah, this was like midnight or something.
Yeah, because it was the game library.
Right.
So, but I would say if you want to, play competitively and, you got to keep track of what everyone else is doing and try and get in their way at the same time.
Yeah. Each time I've played this, we've always had new players. And I feel like you almost need to play it with new players a couple times to kind of get used to the game and the way the scoring works and what you're kind of looking for. But you also want to play with more experienced people because that's when the game opens up.
Right.
When people are cutting each other off and be like, I'm taking that tile specifically because I know you're going after one of these 2 tiles, things like that. So it gets a little cutthroat, but it's not so bad of a cutthroat game to where I feel like you could really, hurt somebody.
Yeah, no, it's not like you don't do anything negative to them. You just impede them,
right.
I guess.
They may have to choose a different path.
Right.
So I think it's, first off, it's extremely well produced. Mm-hmm. Days of Wonder, right?
Right.
So really good components. It's got the phantom meeples.
Yeah, the clear ones.
Yeah, the clear ones that came out in Carcassonne.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure other games use it, but I always thought that was my favorite expansion in Carcassonne, by the way. Anyway, so that was pretty cool. The one thing I thought was odd is that you almost see every single tile each round, which I thought was kind of, I guess that's okay. If you're playing less than 4 players, you remove some tiles anyway.
Right.
But you get to see where they're at, then they get removed. Well, I guess you don't get to see them. You just see where they go, and then they get removed. But I don't know. I guess like you play it one time, you see everything except for the strategy is what I'm trying to say, which is fine. I'm not saying it's a negative or a positive. It's just something I figured I'd bring up. Does that matter to you in games?
I mean, I see where you're coming from because I guess the only thing that would change the game is, the layout is random, but you can kind of just, if you know what works good,
you can definitely go for the same strategy every time you play this game.
Yes.
And it's up to the other players to either unintentionally go after the same strategy or know what you're doing to try to cut you off.
Yeah, and there's different avenues you can go also, but again, that turns into, I'm going to sit here and take all the rivers or the harbors. I'm going to take all the building ones and try and get big stacks of buildings now. I can't remember what another one was, but someone else could just go after something totally different.
You got the factories, and stuff. They have to be next to other pieces, and you got like the embassy buildings or something.
Right.
They go in the different quadrants of your board and stuff. I like the way the game. I like the way, in comparison to other city building games, this is probably my favorite one, unless you put it in there with Castles of Mad King, which I would probably say I liked better, even though there's some things I have issues with in that game, but it's designed well. I just personally didn't like the Master Builder thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd rather play that or Suburbia, possibly.
Oh, Suburbia. Yeah, I forgot about Suburbia.
If we're talking city type games, but
Suburbia is even more solo play though. I do like the fact in Quadropolis that you are at least able to impede on somebody else's plans and strategies and stuff. Now, and the finesse comes, I'm trying to impede you but not screw up my own strategies. I don't want to waste my turn trying to buy a tile that's stupid just to stop you.
Yeah, it's not helping me at all.
Right. So,
and I also like the I guess you'd call it the maintenance you got to kind of do on your board. With the tile doesn't work unless you get like the right amount of people on it, or with the pollution and stuff like that to score it. So that was kind of a neat little aspect of it. Yeah,
and it's not super detrimental at the end of the game, but a handful of points could turn the second or first place winner into second place too. Right. So anyway, very fun game. Mm-hmm. Any final thoughts on that or
no?
Yep,
I was tired.
Fair enough. I will probably pick this one up as well. I kind of wish I would have bought it when I played it at Dice Tower Con, but space was limited.
Yeah, I am interested in the Expert because that's the board layout and everything's a little bit different. I think even when the way you place them and everything is a hair different. So
I'm obviously talking out of just hearsay because somebody explained the Expert mode to me, but there's only one thing it doesn't seem as appealing to me. It's a different type of game, but you don't have your own builders. It's like you bid for the ones in the middle of the table, or you get from a pool of guys. There's multiple 1s and 2s and 3s. Yeah. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe I like the basic way better. Now, whether or not I would like the expert mode better overall might be, that could be the case, but I kind of like the idea of having your own pool of guys because you're like, man, I already spent my 3.
Right.
Now what do I do? So, real fun game. Check it out.